And I'll bring up the slides. The idea of today is to do introduction to supervision. What is supervision? What are the topics that come up in supervision? And also a little bit that we'll share in terms of the difference between ICF mentor coaching and supervision. We'll also mention what's happening, some more progressive things in ICF and supervision. And then we'll also talk about EMCC and Association for Coaching in terms of supervision, as well as the way we see supervision, that it's not just for coaches, of course, it comes from therapy. And as well as that, supervision is actually for any professional. So we'll mention more on that as well. So Katie and Catherine are here. They're also delivering our in-person program with me mid-month next month, which is fantastic. Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself? In fact, sorry, I'm going to stop the slides for the introduction. That would be better, wouldn't it?
Great. Yes, I'd love to. Hello, everyone. Delighted to be here. As everyone, I am a coach, supervisor, mentor. I'm eagerly awaiting news that I have passed my tapes for the MCC. We'll see. Hasn't happened yet. And also I'm an EMCC, ESIA, and senior practitioner. I love our field. I love supervision and the affirmation that it offers coaches in terms of who we are becoming. And I'm also happily involved in coach education and support, now most recently with Claire and her program, as well as the College of Executive Coaching in California. And delighted to be here, and great to see people that we know and people that we're getting to know. So thanks for showing up today.
Fantastic. And Katie?
Sure. Thank you, Claire, and thank you, Catherine. And thanks everybody for coming. It's so wonderful to see you again, the people who I'm acquainted with, and meet new coaches. I really love supporting coaches who are interested in ongoing development and cultivating their skills. And for me, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, in the U.S., and I am an MCC coach and a diplomaed supervisor, so an EMCC, SIA, and I just really love supervision. And the reason that I'm moving into a space of not only doing supervision in my practice, but supporting supervision in training of coaches is it expands the bounds of coaching. For me, it just move the guardrails off enough so there's a little more elbow room to move around in the relationship and between the coach and the thinker or the client. And it offers a space for reflection where a lot of times in our work, it's a solo, we're solo practitioners, and in supervision, it's a space to bring what's, who am I, what am I, where am I, and find our way forward. So I'm happy to be here and look forward to interacting the next hour.
I've been supervising for years when I was training teachers, and then also MBA lecturing, supporting people with their thesis. And then I got into coaching supervision about 6 years ago. And my first diploma in supervision was with Henley Business School, quite academic and theory-led. And then with David Clutterbuck on team coaching supervision, which is one of my favorite things in all the world. And then the third one I finished a few months ago, which included a week on the Mamma Mia Island in Greece. And that was about spirituality and supervision with Robin Shohut, who with Peter Hawkins has written one of the most famous models for supervision, originally from therapy, and then the world of coaching has borrowed it and extended it as well. And so back to the slides. So we work together supervising. Co-supervision's a wonderful thing where two supervisors are supervising a group together. And then we also train together, we mentor coach together, and we always ensure that we're staying abreast of what's happening. So I'm an advisor with ICF right now in terms of supervision and mentor coaching. And there are some things that have been approved by the board recently that will be announced soon, sworn to secrecy around that. But of course, as soon as we're allowed to, we'll make sure that all our community hear about that. So one thing you're curious about regarding supervision, if you'd like to write in the chat or share it out loud, what are you curious about? And I always love on these sessions, sometimes we have people who've never heard of supervision, never had supervision, and we have people who are supervising. So there's always, you know, a range of experiences.
Claire, I think what I'm curious about today is that like I mentor coaches globally. I'm a PCC coach, but I have not had a lot of experience with supervision. So I would love to see the distinction and how I can show up differently as a mentor coach and as a supervisor.
Love that. And by the end of this session, we will hope that you're definitely moving forward in those areas.
Thank you, Claire.
Anyone else? We got some things in the chat.
I popped something in there. I hit return too soon, but I think you'll know what I'm saying there. I'm Courtney. Hey, good to see you all. I'm really curious. I'm trained also in an ES IA, and but I'm really starting to get curious about what it might look like, different styles, different ways that people are approaching group supervision.
Wonderful. Always really interesting me that one, Courtney, where David Clutterbuck has done research around we can of course supervise ourselves, and it tends to be here. We can supervise peers, so for example coaches together supervising each other, and it tends to be here. And then a group with a qualified experienced supervisor leading, it takes it to a different level as per the research, because there's different ways of experiencing, looking at things, and also that beautiful thing in group where we're also together analyzing the process and the relational system of the group. So it's not just the content of the supervision, it's that extra learning as well about the way we show up in group. Yeah. Anyone else like to share? Okay, so let's move on.
We have a couple more plus ones on the distinction between mentoring and supervision in the chat. So a lot of interest in that.
I almost find as well when we deliver our programs that goes round. It's like a cyclical curriculum where we touch on it and then there's clarity, but then going round again to it, there is even more clarity. So let's go with that to start with then. One thing, EMCC, an Association for Coaching, supervision includes what ICF call mentor coaching. We're going to do more slides on this. However, supervision is supervision, and it may also include listening to recordings, considering the way the coach shows up. So there's also a sweet spot in between where a topic may be totally relevant to mentor coaching because it brings in the competency development, but it's also a supervision topic as well. So more on that shortly. So where are you in terms of your awareness of supervision, your experiences of supervision? And for Courtney and maybe some others, where are you in terms of you supervising others? Feel free to share. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to share where I am. Number 13, top right. So there's times when I'm like, yay, I get it. I've got a new model, or yay, that experience was super. And then it looks like a fire pole, and I slide down a bit because, of course, there's even more to learn. So having going up and down, and that feels right because we're all lifelong learners anyway. Anyone else?
Sure
Phil-
that I feel like I'm a 20. Like I love like supporting other people and holding their hand and just rising together.
Wonderful.
Nancy, I'll jump in on that because I felt like 21 because I feel like I'm kind of at like an edge of wanting to do even more one-on-one and I'm stepping into some spaces where I'm going to be doing even more group supervision. So I'm kind of like, hey, how do you all do this? And reaching out. So thanks for the hand.
Wonderful. Playing together as well. Anyone else? Where are you?
I'll build on both of those. I think everything that everyone said. I feel that 13, but not as far on the pole. So just climbing up there just a little bit, not quite. And I probably have a little bit more flexibility getting up that pole versus the ladder. So the learning piece of it, just learning mindset and wanting to learn as much as I can.
Fantastic. I'm also drawn to number 5 on the left on the slide. Number 5 looks so happy there. Yay.
Yeah, I was going to name 5 is where I feel I've learned, have some skills, and then kind of a back to basics. The we down the slide just feels like how to go deeper and then climb back up.
And I went right away to 15. I'm like, woo, I'm having a great time. I started in supervision as an educator. I supervised teachers, then principals, and then doctoral programs, supervision of superintendents and university profs, and later presidents. And I had a strong framework, and so that house resonates. But then there's that bridge. Wait a minute, coaching supervision? That's a bridge to a different world. And now I just feel like I got that bridge. I've been at it for about almost 2 years, and I'm happily swinging back and forth. And yet I like the swing piece because I'm like up in the air and whoops, I could hit this other side I don't even know about yet. I'm sort of in that newness of journey as a coaching supervisor.
And if I was coaching you now, Catherine, or maybe even supervising, I'd be like, and who's 16 who's pushing you?
Good question. Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I'm just going to add that 14 also really calls to me because observing the fun. And I feel like since I was introduced to this program, I've been kind of watching the fun that Catherine and Katie and Claire, are having with this, and seeing some new things pop up in their world, what they're moving towards. And it's like, oh, this is just like um, just feeling all the feels along with that, enjoying it for them and with them. Yeah, so that's also really showing up for me. And I tend to be an observer, and then like, oh, you want to go there? Okay, come on, let's go. So yeah, it's kind of fun to see these. This is a great image.
It's good, isn't it? And Nancy, 14's right in the center of things. I wonder if that's relevant in any way. So
Maybe.
maybe, yeah. So in terms of always useful to go to definitions. So from ICF, coaching supervision is a dynamic and reflective process of collaboration, guidance and support through which coaches develop their personal, professional, and ethical capacity. Oh, couldn't get that out. Capacity and maturity. I hate reading out loud. So there we go. And EMCC, a safe space for reflective dialogue with a practicing supervisor, supporting the supervisee's practice, development, and I love that this is in there, and well-being. To ensure the supervisee maintains appropriate professional standards, So benchmarking to facilitate the development of the supervisee's professional practice. So resourcing, and then also to provide support and well-being, the restorative element of supervision. Anyone any thoughts on those? And we see them as pretty aligned, really. I could have gone on forever and added more. The Association for Coaching is very similar to EMCC's. EMCC's in their competencies has a very relational systemic focus. But the other thing is we feel, because our program is triple accredited, AC, EMCC and ICF, we feel that supervision is also for mentor coaches. Have you ever been mentor coaching and the person feels they're here and they're not, or the other way round, and how to manage the feedback authentically and accurately and, you know, with conviction around these things? So many things in mentor coaching we can supervise around, but also whether we're facilitating or someone's training. And Robin Shohut would even say, someone working in a salon, a hairstylist, they need supervision too. They're mixing with people, and well, quite often, it's amazing how people open up to these people. So in that respect, supervision can be useful for, we feel, any professional. And so that's why our program is called SUPERvision as opposed to coaching supervision. And of course, the competencies are transferable. And then, just for those who were curious about this as well, mentor coaching provides professional assistance in achieving and demonstrating the level of coaching competency and capability demanded by the desired credential level. So working towards ACC, PCC, MCC. Competency development, and we've got the ACC and MCC bars, the PCC markers, and of course the core competencies. And so if you think that, you know, if we had to do it in a nutshell, mentor coaching is about competencies. Where are you? Where do you need to be? What way can we get you there together? And supervision is all about you, and who you are is the way you coach. And that includes so much. So we are doing an in-person program 13th to the 15th of November in Lake Forest, which I've heard is an absolutely gorgeous place, and I've never been to Chicago, so really looking forward to that. And we also do programs online as well, in Italian too, and in Arabic, and all of that can be found on our website. If you did want a one-to-one chat about the programs, reach out. We do it in 2 parts. No one else who has the ICF approval does it in 2 parts. Our reason is part 1, which is the Lake Forest piece, plus 2 online sessions afterwards. The part 1 covers everything you need to be able to supervise in the world of ICF. Aside from practice hours, it's 120 practice hours. We're including group in there, team coaching supervision, and it also includes, obviously, one-on-one supervision. And it's so much about experiential. So the knowledge piece, demonstrations, and then having a go and practicing and getting feedback around it. And then the part 2, if you do the part 1 and part 2, it becomes the full diploma, which is the requirement for Association for Coaching or EMCC to become an accredited supervisor, because right now ICF doesn't accredit supervisors, and so the programs under ICF right now can only be approved as CCEs. It's 60 plus blended learning hours, and you get 40 CCEs, including ethics. So a lot of people like doing this as well because it's great for credential renewal. The final piece is the part 1 is part of our level 3. So for mature coaches ready to move into level 3, if you do the supervision, you're already on your level 3 journey for MCC. And so, any questions before we move into the functions of supervision?
Yes, I have a question, Claire.
Sure.
Thank you so much for explaining in such detail. And so what I'm wondering is, like, I'm already on my MCC journey and I'm pursuing that education. So what does that mean when you say, like, when you said the last part about level 3?
So our level 3, the components are the part 1 of supervision. So it's a certification in supervision. We also include in our level 3, because we got together as 12 MCCs deciding what helped us become MCC, but what also helped us feel like we're working at that level. And we felt supervision totally. So learning to supervise as well. Mentor coaching certification. So understanding the bars and the markers and the core competencies inside out and upside down. We then also have masterclasses from our MCCs from across the globe. So loads of different cultural nuances and different modalities in there, such as existential, gestalt, somatic. And then, of course, in our level 3, you also get recordings of our MCCs and the mentoring. So if you're already on a level 3 program, you do the supervision as an extra. However, if you're putting the pieces together to apply via portfolio, then definitely the supervision training will help you in terms of growing into MCC capacity. I've still got a bit of jet lag. I'm noticing my words are getting a bit fumbled. Forgive me.
Claire, I'm having some interest in some non-coach business people in this program. And I'm wondering if you could speak to why that might be beneficial to those from a non-traditional or a non-coaching background.
Absolutely. So what we're noticing as well, when there's senior leaders who've, they've done their MBAs, they've done their 360s, they're very aware. They've even tapped into life purpose. And supervision, that professional sounding board, and sometimes mentoring, sometimes advising, and sometimes just being together in the not knowing is what senior leaders need when they've already had a lot of coaching. And so 2 ways, using it with senior leaders, but also from the other angle, senior leaders developing the capacity, the supervisory competencies is so needed in our world, and more leaders are also wanting the supervisory competencies. Catherine, Katie, anything to add to that? You're on mute, Katie.
Thank you. The only thing I would add is an exclamation mark at the end of that, Claire, of supervision is so applicable in so many settings. It's, we came to it through coaching, but there are many clients that we might work with who it would benefit as well.
And we've even had therapists on our program who want to step into supervision because it's supervision and not just coaching supervision. It actually adds to the richness of the program because different experiences are shared as well. So moving into the functions of supervision, and Catherine and Katie, do feel free to chip in at any time. And it won't move forward. Ooh, and then it goes to. So, we've got a rogue E there. I wonder what that's about. So the functions of supervision, this comes originally from a model by Proctor. So we'll start with resourcing. Mentioned it a little while ago. So models, tools, techniques, modalities, approaches. Sometimes someone comes to supervision and it's like, I'm stuck with this client. I don't know where to go. And maybe they're just going to their go-to in their toolbox, but there's more in their toolbox that they're not tapping into. Or maybe there's things out of their toolbox that we as a supervisor can share with them to try with that client in that particular context. So that's where resourcing comes into it. The benchmarking is, how am I in my practice? Where am I in my credentialing journey? What ways can I turn up the volume on certain things and upskill? So you can see the way they're also related together. But also, I want to expand my experience and repertoire. I've always coached in business context, middle managers, and I want to coach boards, for example, or I want to move into team coaching or group coaching. So the benchmarking is, where am I in terms of skills, knowledge, and behaviors now? Where is the field? And what way can I get to that level where I feel competent and confident to be able to grow in terms of my level? And then the restorative element. If you want to close your eyes for a minute and just imagine going to the spa and you've had your massage and you've been for your swim and you're drying your hair on the way out and everything smells wonderful. And you walk out of that spa and it's almost like the world's a better place and the sun's shining and you are fit for purpose. You're grounded and you're able to focus on your client work even more effectively. And I invite you to open your eyes again now. And the restorative element can even be working with a professional and even just looking at their diary. How much work have you got on right now? Identifying overload and burnout and all those things, and working with them in ways to ensure that they are at their best in service of their clients. Now, Eve Turner, who's a fantastic supervisor, she also brought in this other bit on the left, which makes perfect sense. So the business side of the work, pricing, pitching, promoting, how are you on LinkedIn, even looking at profiles together, but also the business side in terms of what ways are you attracting clients? What clients do you attract? Is it the type of clients that make your heart sing? Or is it just got to pay the mortgage, going for that client again just because? So, all of those things. And 10 years down the line, what do you want to be remembered for? So that piece as well is, there used to be 3 legs to the stool. It was pretty stable, but imagine with that 4th leg in supervision, how much more stable the stool is now. Anyone, any thoughts, comments, questions around this? And Katie and Catherine, do chip in if you wish.
One thing go ahead, Catherine.
You're good.
I was just going to say, one thing I love about supervision is that it is an expanded conversation with an experienced supervisor that allows in space for restoration and things that may be happening in business, pitching, pricing, marketing, as opposed to mentoring, which is a little bit more focused on, according to ICF, the use of the competencies. So supervision is a very spacious area to explore pretty much anything you need as a coach.
Yeah, anything you need as a coach in relation to your work. Yeah, so people like that, as well as a distinction between coaching and supervision. Catherine.
Yeah, and just this idea of depth, stability. I love that fourth leg. It speaks to me of deep presence and expansion. And the other piece of supervision that has been a wonderful thing for me is the collegiality, the expansion of networks. There's an international network, certainly with Dr. Clare's program, also with EMCC, which, as we probably all know, was just inaugurated in the US, their first kickoff meeting yesterday. I know, super exciting. So much in terms of expansion, widening and broadening, both of skills and abilities, but of presence, just focus on being who we are as professionals.
Wonderful. And so we shared ICF has some exciting things coming out soon. We have, as you know, the mental coaching competencies now and the supervision competencies that came out a little while ago. And I was supporting ICF in creating both of those. And we also have the competencies for coach educators. And we feel that that piece sometimes gets missed out because coach educators as well, to work at their best, supervision is so useful for that. You know, there's a lot of coaches who jump into training and education, but they've not had that rich grounding of experience of differentiation when people are at different levels in the program, you know, or different types of learners and neurodivergency. And so all of those things are fabulous things to be supervised around as well. And so there's topics that sometimes I contract with a client for mentor coaching and supervision. Unless, of course, it's the exact amount of hours required for mentoring, and then obviously ethically we have to make sure we do those hours, the 10 hours for renewal, for example. And yet things like when a coach, we've heard a little bit of their recording, maybe a trigger tape, not the full hour, and they feel, and we notice that they need to be braver. They're holding back somehow in terms of asking those really courageous questions to stretch their client. And that can be something that is over there in mental coaching around, for example, coaching presence and evoking awareness. But it's also on the supervision side in terms of maybe it's imposter syndrome or the deference threshold where maybe they need to start charging more to feel their worth in their client relationships. So there's times when in a supervision session, we may say, hey, this one could go both ways. What do you need right now around this topic? And they may choose mentor coaching or supervision, or we may do a bit of both in that topic. Make sense? Anyone to add anything or any curiosity around that? So
My
let's have
curiosity
yes.
would lend itself toward what may happen next. Will there be a deeper blending of supervision and mentoring within ICF? Perhaps one day we'll be able to supervise within those 10 hours of mentoring.
So isn't it gorgeous that supervision is now in the 2025 core competencies? So that's there in flashing lights. And I think to what you're saying, Catherine, the deeper awareness of supervision, because in parts it's still in its infancy, some people are still not aware of it. People will realize more that the two together really support the whole of the coach. And so on that vein, it was the best of times and the worst of times. And in supervision as well, it's not just when something's not going right, it's actually locking in when sessions were fantastic. And so when I'm supervising, I tend to look at the four legs of the stool. And then after a few sessions with a supervisor or a group, say, hey, where's our focus been? Where have we not shone a light? Because we need to go there as well. And it may be that celebration element, which is in our supervision model. It may be a focus on the field and what's happening in terms of the benchmarking. So remember, supervision is about locking in the good stuff and ways to use that in the future, but also obviously shining a light on those things that we want to get better at. And maybe here is a way myself, Katie, and Catherine can just brainstorm with you. What are the topics come up in supervision? And obviously, you know, others on the call are supervisors themselves, and I know that others here have had supervision. So should we have a quick brainstorm together? What topics come up in supervision?
Absolutely. One topic that seems to come up a lot in my sessions is working with the wrong clients, awareness that they may have outgrown the population that they were working with earlier. So how do I grow into my next level?
Absolutely.
I would say I'm noticing a lot of emotional overlay. I've had conversations within supervision around anger, kind of as a base level of operation for some supervisors. Imposter syndrome comes up often, and just managing emotions as you're being present.
And the same here, especially since COVID in terms of the restorative element. And I'd say even more recently, when a coach is absorbing things that are in the wider system, be it politics, be it wars, be it, crime in their local area. Knife crime came up recently in a session that I was doing. And that getting it out there allows people to explore, but also to be able to self-manage when there's certain things we may have to put it over there and park it, to be able to be fully present with our clients. Or what ways, when these things come up in coaching, do I need to be? How do I need to show up to allow the client's client, the leader, for example, to be able to be with these pretty existential topics? Anyone else, any other topics that come up in supervision?
I'll share. I think that it can sometimes show up with coaches feeling like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? And really wanting in service of the client, but it getting a little bit tangled in terms of what's theirs, what's the client's. And also I feel like the coaching police show up sometimes in coaching supervision. It's like, oh, are we hearing sirens? Like there's some rules that are being broken or not being broken, or I don't know. Seems like that.
I'm
It
hearing
happens
those
for me.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Courtney, should. That I should. And it's like, who says? For what purpose? Absolutely. Yeah. And then I'm also thinking around things like career, work-life balance, and when a coach is contracting with an organization for the first time, they're not familiar with the way procurement works, and loads of different ethical things come up in supervision as well. Anyone else? We shall move on. So modalities, there's self-supervision, and we've said, it's here, and then there's one-on-one or group supervision. Advantage of group is more voices, more topics, more cultures, more religions, and more everything else. And so we can get even more from those environments. But psychological safety for some people, for some topics, can be supported even more in one-on-one. So sometimes you get people, can I have a one-on-one for that particular thing? And then back to group for their sort of ongoing work. And then also you can have 10 hours of supervision for credentialing renewal in ICF. It counts towards the CCEs there. Peer supervision's another one. Anyone had reverse supervision? That's super cool. So with our programs, now and again, there's someone who, there was someone in Ukraine and they couldn't get a client to be able to do their supervision on supervision session, where we actually work with them to listen to part of their supervision and feedback. So I've known this person a very long. So we were on modalities and the different ways we can supervise one-on-one group, peer, reverse supervision, where I was supervised by someone who's training in supervision. And it was really quite profound because there was a question and an exploration we did together that was fascinating. And I wonder, you know, even experienced supervisors, sometimes, of course, we have blind spots. And then we've got the supervision competencies high level here. So these are the ICF ones, the ethical guidance, ongoing reflection and self-care. So you can see the way they talk to the 4 legs of the supervision stool. The contracting elements, so the overarching contract and then the contracts for these sessions. Managing the process, and of course managing group is that bit more complex. We're going to do some Saturday sessions on group. If anyone wants to get more information on that, happy to share. Supportive environment, so people are happy to open up. Facilitates clients' reflections. Guides clients' development. And obviously the group element there as a discrete way of doing supervision. And then some people say, well, we know for mentor coaching, there's a part where we listen to and then we feed back and, you know, align together in terms of the competencies, but also in supervision. We tend to call it a trigger tape where a supervisee may bring a little bit of their work and we listen to it together. And of course, that isn't mandatory. Supervision can also be just around talking together. We may also share models, tools, techniques, and play with different modalities. Solution focus. What way will you integrate the learning from this supervision session into your future practice? And so, yeah, we encourage you to use your work in your supervision sessions for yourself, but also as a supervisor to encourage your clients to bring it too. And so I was within and without, simultaneously enchanted and repelled by the inexhaustible variety of life. And so The Great Gatsby, there's some amazing lines in this piece of work. But sometimes we can just be totally energized by what's going on in our client work, totally exhausted by it, and anywhere in between, totally excited by it. And sometimes, in honesty, we may say to a supervisor, I was bored in the session. Please help me understand why I zoned out with that particular client on that particular day. So really quite interesting, all the many different things that can be discussed in supervision. And things like this. The coach considers what they need to do more of, what they need to ditch less of, what they need to sustain, where their blind spots might be. the shadow work that they need to do on themselves to be able to, you know, the more we get supervision, and if anyone knows the seven-eyed model, I5 and 6 also tap into, sometimes people say it almost feels like therapy, because the work that's done is that deep shadow work and talking about the ways we show up. So what do we need to turn the volume up on in terms of our presence with our clients, or indeed turn the volume down on? And just like in coaching, there's many different modalities and ways that we can supervise, be it solution focus that I mentioned, or Gestalt, empty chair. Have the clients sat in that chair in the room with us, metaphorically, and they can step into talking as client to tap into what they may have experienced. And then the, you know, very psychodynamic approach, and what other experiences have you had of this in your life? Maybe they tap into childhood experiences when they were at school, for example. I'm thinking of this should do and shouldn't do type thing, you know, and the way people are around things like that. Things like transactional analysis. Where do you play the most, adult to adult or parent to child? Is that playing out with this particular client right now? So many different ways we can work with our supervisees. And then we do creative approaches, be it online, in person, using image cards, metaphors, spirituality, even music and sound, and nursery rhymes or stories from over the years and fables. And so we invite you now to look at these images and consider, from our conversation today, what's your learning? What's your takeaway? Which card draws you? Which image sums up supervision for you?
For me,
Yes, please.
yeah. So I think the path in the jungle or the woods, that is what is resonating with me, because I feel it's such a beautiful road down ahead and I want to explore.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else like to share?
I can't resist the Lego. I love the path, and I also appreciate the first thing that jumped out to me was the Lego, especially because it had the police, which I'd mentioned, and which kind of made the police smaller and something to play with, so to speak. And I like the idea of taking things apart and there not being a right way. I love that there's just like a bunch of different pieces, a bunch of different bricks there. So it's just kind of pulling things apart and looking at them, and yeah, nowhere to go, nowhere to be, nothing to build, but just to be together and play.
Just in process. Anyone else like to share?
The Legos.
Water. Oh,
Go ahead.
Nancy, then Sonia.
I was going to say the Legos for me, I think that just the creative aspect, I'm really trying to tap into my creative side and realizing that everything can be built and rebuilt and reconfigured based on where we're at. And so that's exciting to me.
Really interesting as well, you know, when different people look at the image. When you were speaking there, I was noticing the space in that image, which I didn't see a few minutes ago. Sonia.
yeah, the water. I'm drawn to the water, the spaciousness of that. It just seems it's just more open. And if I had an opportunity to choose another one, it would be it's seemingly a doorknob in terms of just the opportunity that supervision is bringing up for me.
Always interested with that one. What's on the other side of the door?
Mhm.
So many great questions we can bring into this. Would anyone else like to share?
Yes, I would like, to me, is the 2 feet, like I feel support and that I'm not alone, and that if I need any time a reflection, there is someone for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that picture speaks to me. It was the first one. Maybe it has to do with at the moment, how I'm feeling, probably. Tomorrow it might be a different one.
And one of those socks, the pink one, is actually inside out. What might that represent?
I haven't taken further yet. I need to, yeah, I need to reflect on that. Yeah. Just feeling support next to me because they're always together. Yes, in a way that we need sometimes, subconsciously.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
I'm attracted to the door. I just feel this is an invitation, and I'm looking forward to what comes next as we continue to expand and offer our program next month.
Anyone else?
I'm drawn to the 2 feet and the mismatching colors of, in supervision, sometimes things don't fit neatly, and that's okay. They don't have to always be aligned, but can still be functional and useful. And also the Inside Out, which kind of be, that Disney movie Inside Out, what our inner feelings as well as our exterior, how we're presenting ourselves to the world, can be explored in supervision.
Absolutely. And so we're coming to a close. We'll make sure that you get the slides and something to ponder. What does ICF, our field, clients, all the people behind them, our communities, the countries we live in, what does the world need from supervision? And we just have a few minutes now. If there's any questions or comments.
Claire, thank you so much. Such a wonderful session. In fact, I had a meeting 25 minutes back and I pushed it because I was enjoying the session so much. I have one question, that this in-person level 1 thing, how often do you do it? Like, when is the next one after November?
So it'll probably work out about 3 times a year, maybe not always in the very same location, but we do want a bit of nature around.
And there's only level 1, which is in person. Level 2 is always online, right?
So not necessarily. What we do is we connect with the cohort, and if they all want the diploma, then we can do that in person as well. If not, they can join the diploma part with other cohorts that are online. Some people actually like to do the second bit online because it's spread out. It's every week, so they can actually go away and practice the content, because the diploma takes deep dives into different ways. Other people like to do it all in one go and then go practice. So
Thank you.
just depends really on the cohort.
Okay. All right. So again, just a quick idea. Do you know when's the next one after November?
It'll probably be about March next year.
Okay. Got it. Thank you so much. You
But
guys have
we'd
a
love to
beautiful...
have you next month if you can make it.
Yes, yes. And I will connect with you separately to discuss that.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Claire, and everyone. Katie, thank you. Bye.
Thank you for the lovely comments in the chat. Anyone else, any comments or questions? And so, our time is complete. It's been wonderful having you here. I will be editing this recording before it goes out. And supervision is always a fantastic grounding topic for me. So thank you for turning up. We'll see you soon.
Great to see you and see you next month, Nancy. And good to see you again, Sonia.
Absolutely. Gorgeous.